On Can Media right now, we're going to be talking about opportunities to head down to the States with your business. Joining us right now, Stan Pence, and you were with the Canada Trade Commission in Denver.
That's right. I'm part of the Department of Foreign Affairs and represent the Canadian government in different areas of the United States. I cover the Rocky Mountain states, and I have a colleague down in Houston who covers really the area along the Gulf. But basically there's two of us, and if you're not in our area immediately, we'll certainly find out what's going on in the other areas and give you information on it.
Okay. Now, you here were talking about shale plays throughout, and you said basically anywhere between Alberta south to Mexico is what your expertise is in. If businesses up here are thinking that they might like to enter the market down there, what should they be doing?
Well, first thing they need to do is have some sort of technology that makes sense to go into the place. We really like companies to actually vet themselves with the Trade Commissioner Service in Calgary before they come down and talk to us in their offices in Texas or in Colorado. And we have to know if your technology is going to work, because we don't want to bring you down and then have it fail. Number two is you have to have a plan. Obviously that's the same with any company, but we'll go through in Canada on what your plan is and whether it works, and then we'll figure out where your technology, what basins it should go into. That's where I come in. I get referred by the Calgary office. Companies come to me, and I'll actually talk to you about specific basins and give you context and sort of give you the market inroads, so how you can establish a successful business in the United States rather than just parachuting in and hoping that it works.
Great. One of the things that you mentioned is that you should have something unique. Is it that's a better route to go than, say, if you just think you've got a good product and you want to go down there and compete with the American distributors?
Absolutely, and it's one of those things where a lot of times you think you've got something unique, and then when you do a little research you find out that 5 or 6 other guys are doing the same thing. So you never want to assume that you're the only one that has sort of cracked the code on one certain product and one certain system. And we can help you vet that, and we can tell you whether it's actually the chances that it would be successful in the market. Because sometimes you may have a great technology, but it may be regulatory driven up here, and the regulations don't exist in the United States, so it's a good mousetrap, but no one needs to catch those mice.
One of the things I found interesting, we talked to a gentleman from Colombia, and he was talking about if Canadians want to go down and do business down there, you've got to get used to Colombian time, meaning that they may show up for a meeting, they may not, or they may be an hour late. These are the things that you just have to become accustomed to. There are differences in the American market as well that Canadians need to be aware of.
Absolutely. It's probably not the manana mentality that you'd have south of the border, which it's an adjustment. But I think for Canadians coming down, a lot of times they're lulled into thinking this is the same place. And likewise for Americans coming into the Canadian market. There are subtle differences, and the more you talk to people, the more you figure out and see these things. Is it a big inhibitor? No, but you have to be aware that people think differently, people act differently, and people's ideas toward business are somewhat different. Americans, just by and large, are going to be sometimes more aggressive than the average Canadian would be. Not all Canadians, but a lot of them are. So I think Canadians need to be prepared to coming in that they have to push, and that Americans generally aren't offended by people that push back. So if you've got a contract, you've got something that looks like it's a good opportunity, go after it and keep bugging them. Because your competitor is going to do it, you may as well.
What if that's not in your nature? Because apparently that's how Canadians are stereotyped. What if being that isn't in your nature? Is there another route you can go to get somebody to do the pushing for you? Right,
and a lot of Canadians have figured this out just by trial and error. They'll come down and they won't be that successful, but they're not stupid people, by and large. No one's stupid. And they'll figure out the best thing to do is to hire somebody that's local. I'm a perfect example of that. The Trade Commissioner Service has local people because we're the ones that actually are dealing with the market, have grown up in the market, and understand the way the market works. Most of us have worked for American businesses before we work for the government, so we have an understanding of how it works. Same situation with a services company coming in to the United States from Canada. If you've got guys that actually have that expertise, great. But probably what you're going to want to do is to look for local people at some point that have an understanding of the market, even if it's just subtle, and they can take it to that next level. Don't always have to, but it certainly helps if you can think about it.
So the first thing somebody should do then, contact the Calgary office if they've got a plan? How do they go about doing that?
Well, just call them up. We have 4 people that are over there that cover different areas. Actually, there's more than 4 people, but they cover different sectors of the energy market, whether it's services or E&P, pipelines, things like that. And they have an understanding on what the basics are and what you need to do to be able to move into a foreign market, whether it's the United States or elsewhere. They'll help you through the basic processes of what you need to do to export or go across the border and establish operations, and eventually you'll get referred to myself or my counterpart in Houston or in Bogota or wherever it may be that you're going, and we can give you the information that you need to establish yourself, hopefully successfully, on the ground.
And the department that they go for here?
That they would go to would be the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, and it's the Trade Commissioner Service.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Stan.
You're welcome.
We've been chatting with Stan Pence here on Can Media.